Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Magical Witchy World TV. I am Star Ravenhawk.
And I am Rhonda Allen. Welcome back. Happy
Yes,
Friday.
yes, great to have everyone back tonight. And now on with the show.
Show.
It's a magical, witchy world. It's a magical, witchy world.
Woo! Stephanie Connolly. Welcome
So
and
happy to have you
welcome.
here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you
We,
here with us tonight.
we
So,
are
Rhonda,
excited to have you here with us
yeah, we
tonight. And
are, we are.
you're joining us from Denver, Colorado, one of my favorite cities in the world. But let's introduce you to everyone watching live and or watching us on playback. So let me go through your bio. Stephanie Connolly is the author of over 50 books about demonology and magic. She's been practicing demonic magic since 1984 and has been an initiated demonologist since 1990. She's and has almost 40 years experience in Goetia. I want to get this right. Grimoire magic. As you can find her at demonology.org, and we will be throughout the show. So again, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes,
Oh, it's
we're
so good to be
looking
here.
forward to this. All right. Okay. So, what we start off asking everyone is um, your idea of basically the arc that you took
Mhm.
of from where you began in your magics, or where when you first came into the craft, or whatever you practice, where that arc of where you began and what you called yourself, not what other people called you, but what you presumed yourself to be, and then the arc you took to where you are now and what you call yourself now,
Hmm.
Oh,
referring
okay.
to yourself as. Because I've noticed, because I know it happened to me when I first came into the craft or whatever it is. I started out calling myself one thing, and then I kept going, and then I'm like, this is who I am, or whatever it is. So everyone has that kind of arc of what they go through.
Oh, absolutely. So it's kind of interesting because uh, honestly, one of the reasons I actually got into witchcraft and demonology was because um, I had a lot of experiences as a child with spirits. And
Mm.
so I was a medium, I was a natural medium. And I kept seeing spirits and I had conversations with spirits. One of my earliest memories was a spirit like manifesting out of my closet door, and it came over to the side of my bed and just kind of looked down on me for a
Wow.
while. And then they would come in at night and sit at the end of my bed, and we'd have conversations and they'd tell me stories. And I was probably maybe 3 or 4 when this happened. So
Wow.
as I got older and I was able to I started going to the library. I wanted to see if I could find out what was happening and why I could do this when nobody else could. Because of
Right.
course, my parents were like, "Oh no, no, you didn't see anything. It was a dream." I was like, "No, I know I was wide awake." I would pinch myself to see if I
Right.
was awake, and I'm like, "No, that hurts. I'm definitely awake." Um, so I mean, even as a child, I was a little skeptical, so I kept testing myself. But uh, so I started going to the library, and of course, you start out with like spirits and ghosts, and then it kind of transformed from there into divination practices. And then, of course, and then it moved into spells and witchcraft. And so I,
Mm.
because, a lot of that stuff's like in the same section in the library, right? And so I'd see these other books and I'm like, oh, this has something to do with an alternative spirituality. And of course, I wasn't brought up with like a strong religion. My parents were what I call Jack Christian. So it's like, oh
Mm.
yeah, they believed in God, but they weren't really practicing or observant, and they
Right.
weren't really raising us that way. I had a very, very strict evangelical aunt who used to convince my mother, for a couple years anyway, to drag us to vacation Bible school.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, so
That's
I
a
went
hard one.
for, I think there were 2 years that I went. I hated it the first year. And then the second year, I told my mother, I don't want to go back. And she said, that's fine. You don't have to. And I was probably about 8 or 9 when that happened.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I, I mean, and my mother and my grandmother was Catholic, and she took me to church once, and she tried to get me to go into like the introduction to catechism class with all the other kids.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
she kind of like pushed me in there, and the priest, of course, made a big spectacle of it and did the whole cross thing over my face, and I ran from the room screaming because
Oh.
Oh my
I didn't
gosh.
like being the center of attention. It freaked me out. I didn't like being
Yeah.
singled out. And but I was basically my grandmother was told never to bring me back.
Oh my goodness. They actually wait a
Oh
minute.
my
They actually
god.
told them to tell you that? To
Yeah, well,
never bring you
yeah,
back?
yeah. The priest actually pulled my
Jeez.
grandmother aside and he said, "Yeah, please don't bring her back." Yeah.
That's just messed
Jeez.
up.
That really is. You're a child. But that's
Right.
that actually is a great sex question, which was, I mean, you had
Mhm.
these experiences as a child, not just from your own seeing spirit come out, talk room, and then these experiences in church and religion. Tell us what was that where you were thinking, okay, on here, I need to dive in and learn more about this, where you actually really began your studies? What was it that really brought you into this poetry and magic?
So it's interesting because it does take a kind of take a detour through like a very Christian Satanism.
Mhm,
Mm.
So I was
mhm,
probably I was probably about, I don't know, probably I want to say between 8 and 10. I'd done a few experiments where I would pray to the Christian God for something,
mhm.
and I'd pray to Satan for something, just because I was just always a very introspective, philosophical child, I suppose. And
Right.
and the let's just say the Christian God never answered prayers, but all the prayers to Satan were answered.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
as weird as that is, and one particular incident,
Mhm.
I had lost a few things and I couldn't find them, and it was driving me nuts.
Right.
So I had like actually prayed to Satan, of course, that help me find these things. And it was so strange because I shared a room with my little sister, and she was just a mess, and I
Right.
wasn't very, very tidy at that age either. And I woke up the next morning and I was going through my drawers, and I opened my bottom drawer of my dresser, and there were the things that I was missing
Wow.
neatly stacked
Wow.
right in a pile, and that whole drawer had been tidied, and I was like, I didn't do this. I went to my mother and I said, did you do this? And she's like, no. And at the time
Mhm.
my sister was like 4 or 5. She certainly didn't do it. My father never,
Right.
he never did it. My brother
Right.
certainly wouldn't have. And so it really started me thinking, like, there's something going on here. I'm thinking that maybe Christianity, there's some questions I have that they can't answer. There's some things going on that don't make sense here. It's not adding up. But it wasn't until I actually had more access to libraries that I was able to like look it up. So I've been curious for years. Um, for a few years before, probably when I was about 12, I finally started going to the
Okay.
library and
Okay.
looking stuff up to find out what was going on with these spirits. How come I could communicate with them? Why was I seeing them? Um, and of course, when I saw demonology alongside those other books, I was like, oh well, I prayed to Satan. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 14 years old, I was what you would call a Christian Satanist because I didn't know
Okay.
any better. I was still exploring. So
Right.
I
Young
went through a
age. That's an
it
amazing
was like
that's an
I was very
amazing
yeah, it will and I think it wouldn't have happened to me being so young if I
Mhm.
hadn't have had those experiences.
Yes.
And if I
Yeah.
wasn't such an introspective
Yeah.
child that, I mean, I spent most of my time reading. I mean, my mom used to joke that to punish me, she'd have to send me outside to play. Instead of like, it's never go to your room because she knew I'd be just fine in my room.
Right.
I'd just grab a book and, I'd be fine. So it's like, oh no, you got to go out to play. You got to get outside in the sunlight. I'm like, no. Um, but so by the time I was 12, I was like reading all of this information. By the time I was 14, I was kind of identifying
Mhm.
as, your stereotypical Satanist. Because what else do you know at that age? What you're going to find the most information on is what the Christians think Satanists are.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I kind of went along with that, and kept reading as many books as I can and as I could. And our local library wasn't super helpful because they didn't have a lot of stuff, but I read everything from, witchcraft and traditional craft type books, all the way through
Right.
through the grimoires. So, um,
Right.
or what I could at least get my hands on. And then by the time I was 16, I actually met some other people. I was a little bit of a partier when I was a kid. Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
I met some people through a friend who actually were practicing demonolators.
Wow.
And so I was like, "Oh, what's this about?" And so
Yeah.
I kind of started hanging out with them and kind of learning what they meant, what they knew, what they understood about magic and demonolatry. And at the same time, I also took some classes in Gardnerian witchcraft
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
one of
Mhm.
the local occult stores. I mean, once I was 16 and I had my driver's license, I could actually like travel
Yeah.
to occult stores and go to
Now
the
open.
go to regular bookstores, right?
Mm.
So it
Yes.
kind of went from there. And by the time, because they wouldn't let you initiate before you were 18 anyway, so I ended up taking their classes, taking the witchcraft classes, and just kind of practicing on my own until I was 18. And I sat down and really thought about it and thought, I really connect with this demonolatry stuff.
Right.
And so I kind of moved toward that and started moving away from the very Christianized Satanism from there. Because I think most
Mhm. Mhm.
demonolators start there. They start like leaving. And a lot of people, they have like some religious trauma
Yes.
from their Christian upbringing.
Okay.
And
Right.
so they'll move into like Satanism, demonolatry type stuff. Um, I don't know, it's kind of a way to rebel, but at the same time to explore their other options.
Mm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
just to
Mhm.
see, what does the other side have to offer? And then they start realizing once they
Right.
get further in that there's more to it than that there were other spiritualities before Christianity.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yes.
I did have the benefit of having some elders there too to kind of guide me, where some people don't. They don't have
Yeah.
anything but like books. They're very, they're stuck in a solitary
Yeah.
position, and so they
Yeah.
have to kind of do that legwork themselves. And I
Yeah.
think eventually you just kind of evolve. And my understanding of what a demon is evolved too. Because I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you guys
Right.
know that like the old definition of the word daemon, was divine
Mhm.
intelligence or replete with wisdom. So they were basically personal divine intelligences. And I started, and more recently, like probably in the last 20 years, I've been thinking more like, well, you know, even angels are divine intelligences. Even planetary spirits are
Right.
technically divine
Right.
intelligences. It's
Mhm.
just a
Mhm.
matter of how close to the earth sphere they are. So if you're working with what the Christians view as demonic, sometimes those are God forms because they were all old gods. So you
Right.
start
Right.
learning
Right.
all this stuff as you go,
Yes. Yeah.
and you become further and further removed from Christianity. And so even pantheons of gods, like the Egyptian gods and goddesses, technically they're daemons too.
Mhm.
They're divine intelligence.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mm.
they're all
Right.
parts of this whole, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Interesting.
So,
That's
and then it's like,
fabulous.
then I finally started understanding how, I was part of that whole, how you were part of that whole, and how
Right.
every individual person and living thing is part of that whole, and how we're all like interconnected like
Right
that. And
on.
so it just kind of, snowballed from there. And it's kind of evolved to a point where a lot of people really do not like my view of what a demon is. And it's not that I
Well,
don't think there
you know.
aren't evil spirits out there. I do think there are certain things on the other side that will try to harm people or feed off of them, specifically
Mhm,
to feed
mhm,
off of them.
Right. Yeah. No,
mhm,
because there
mhm.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are, and
Yeah.
that's just how it is. And I've run into those things over the years that have shown me that there are things out there that are not so good. And even like the divine is not always nice and sweet and lovable, because
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
everyone just assumes like, oh,
Right.
the divine is all wonderful and all light and all,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like,
People,
yeah,
I don't think
that's
people realize they're very neutral beings, and that
Mhm.
neutrality means something different to humans than people think,
Right.
and they just don't realize that
Mhm.
it means that
Hmm.
they can really mess you up if
Yeah.
they choose to, based on their being very neutral.
Hmm.
That it's interesting.
I just wanna acknowledge that you our discussion here, Stephanie. I just wanted to acknowledge we do have Christine chat. She wanted to say hello to
Yeah, she
everybody.
loves Stephanie's works.
So I wanted
Oh,
That's
to
one of
great.
my students.
share that she is here, Christina, for joining us
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you, Christina. Yeah.
Um,
Okay, go ahead, sweetie.
no, no, no. I was just gonna say I read that the
Yeah.
telling of your journey and what brought you to where you're at
Mhm.
right now, or pretty much where you're at right
Yeah.
now. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of go back just a little bit and ask you, like, what should I call you, witch or demultress? Um, like, what's the word exactly? And then with that point, once you stated that, what does it mean to be that particular kind of practice?
So for me, I identify both with the word demonilatress and witch.
Okay.
So and I suppose it depends, like, on the context that I use it. It really depends on um, what I'm doing, I suppose. As a demonilatress,
Mm,
I am working with and holding in high regard the divine intelligence.
Right.
So, and a lot of people look at worship and they think it's like a groveling thing, or
Yeah.
oh,
It's
I'm
not.
not worthy,
Yeah.
I'm not worthy. And that's not how I view that. I kind of view that as, it's more like, I respect the divine intelligence. I respect the divine outside myself. I respect the divine within myself. I respect the divine in
mm-hmm,
every
mm-hmm.
person that I meet.
Right.
And so, in that sense, I mean, I'm not one to, like, some people build like elaborate altars and they'll leave offerings and stuff like that. I'll give offerings, but not in that sense, not in the, oh, they must be pelted with offerings in
Right.
order to, help you. And I view the relationship between myself and the divine as in, I seek out the divine for wisdom and
Mm-hmm.
to help me grow and meet my full potential.
Right.
So
Right on.
that's kind of
Right
how
on.
I view my relationship with the divine. It's almost like a teacher-student type
Right.
relationship.
Or
Yeah.
mentor kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, someone who's like a servant in that sense. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? In
Right.
that,
Right.
yeah, in a submissive, servile sense. I mean,
Right.
I don't think that and that's where like I never really meshed real well with the ceremonial magic, because there was
Hmm.
so much ego attached to the magician, where you have to, but that's a longer segue right there, because that can also go into the psychology of magic.
Right.
Uh, like, if you view
Right.
like the demonic as parts of the self that need to be overcome by ego or to be knocked down.
Right.
If you view the demonic like that, and there is like a very large school of thought where that's what they feel. They feel like the different demonic forces are these negative parts of yourself that you need to confront.
Right.
And so that's why they shout the names of God at them.
Right.
Whereas I view it as yes, there are negative parts of myself, but I can explore those and overcome those negative parts of myself through understanding and acknowledging that they exist and attempting to change the things about myself that I don't like. So the demonologist part of me is like the spiritual part of me. The witchy part of me is when I'm actually working perhaps maybe the lower magic, where the magic where I'm trying to affect change in the real world. But I've also found that I have a better chance of affecting change in the real world with my low magic if I'm also doing the high magic.
Yeah, I find that you have to combine them as well. That's
Right
how I
on.
kind of work with them.
Yeah.
And you just
Absolutely.
tend to have more success that way. But I also really love like tangible earthy magic, where I'm working with herbs and stones and roots. And so that's where the witchy part of me comes in. And that's when I'm a witch,
Okay.
is when I'm doing that.
And you're right
on.
about something where it's the servitude point of view. Because even as witches or Christians or whatever, they all still carry that servitude point of view for a worship point of view, not realizing it's not a worship or a servitude. It's more of a reciprocal thing.
Exactly so.
Acknowledgement
Exactly so.
and respect. And to me, that's the way it should be. But not everyone view it that way. So to each his own, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I suppose when I was younger, especially, because I noticed that, there's a lot of people like, oh, you're not a real witch if, and they always like have that kind of going on.
A
You
caveat.
get a lot of that in the online space.
Yes, you do.
And the reality, and I think we all go through that phase at some point where we're like, oh, who's doing it right? Who's doing it wrong? And I think as you like grow in your practice and as you, start, I don't want to say getting wiser, I guess. I don't know. I always feel like I'm going to be a lifelong learner. I'll never learn everything.
Yes, that's the way it should be. I believe in that.
Yeah.
And so
it is exactly that.
I have left a lot of that behind, a lot of that, absolutism where, oh, you must, oh, well, why would you use, this particular herb in this spell because it's not canon. You know what I'm saying? It's not in the written book.
Right.
So, and I also tend to, kind of upset people who are into the more what they might call like the traditional grimoire magic, because I will take some of that grimoire magic and I'm not afraid to put my own spin on it or view it from a different lens. And I think that does upset people. And I don't know, I've just become more of kind of a chaos magician in my own way as I get older. I'm able to look at things from a completely different point of view. And I think that happens to everybody organically as they go.
Word, chaos, because
I agree.
I always think of, everybody thinks of chaos as this thing that's, just chaotically going all over the place. But that's why I say, I don't consider it chaotic. I think it's considered being wise about looking at things from different points of view, looking at a bigger picture. That's not chaotic. That's actually very open and embracing what's right in front of you. And for anyone, which is just interesting, if you have witches of different traditions telling everyone, well, it's supposed to be done this particular way, it's almost like they've become the Christian version of witches, and without realizing it, because they're basically telling you what the Christians are saying with among different traditions. No, it's only practiced this way. And you should be following it this way. So basically you've become the Christian witches, and you're telling us this is the way it's supposed to be practiced. Whereas in witchcraft, we all know we all practice it differently. Even when you practice within your group, you practice as a solitary, very different from what you practice in the group.
Yes.
So, it does not, none of it makes any sense to me when I hear people say it, but I just kind of go, yeah, okay. And I go along with it because that's what they want to hear.
Right.
kind of a thing. So I think what you're basically saying is that's along that same kind of lines with it too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And
I
that's one of
think
the things is like I think I was a bit more rigid in my practice when I was younger. And then as I've gotten
mhm.
older, I've like released that. And
Yeah.
it felt so
Yes.
good to release it because I didn't feel
Yes.
like I needed to police everyone. I'm like, why am I bothering? If it works for them,
Let it
who am I
work.
to
Not,
judge?
see, that's not being
Right.
chaotic.
That's
That's
part of
being
the
wise
work.
about it because it
Yeah.
works for them. You're
Right.
And
losing
I think
control of
part of that
something. Yeah.
I think part of
Yeah. Yeah. That's
that
amazing.
whole story is the individual, however you whatever your particular practice,
Yeah.
you're going is you come in saying, "I don't know anything. Give me some." So you have to work within the confines of the canon, if you will, because that's at least it gives you some structure to begin with.
At the beginning.
And
Yeah.
then as you
Yeah.
begin to understand how to work within it, then you understand that, oh, these are like recipes in a cookbook, which are just guides.
Exactly. Exactly.
As a cook, dash of vanilla or that little extra pinch of something is going to make that there. That's where
Mhm.
you come in, and I totally agree with saying on that. You are going
Yeah.
to
Yeah. I agree with what she
embrace.
just said. That's a
You're
good
going to
analogy.
yeah,
Mhm.
you're going to embrace it and add what adds that little something extra. And I think that just for me expresses or shows the growth of that person.
Absolutely.
That they've been growing into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
I don't one of you have done it, but we're not denigrating anyone who says, "Oh, it has."
No, we're
That's where
not.
No,
Absolutely.
not at all.
they
We've all
are
been
in
there.
their practice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're
Right.
just
Yeah.
saying basically
That's where they're at
there's no one way.
right
Everyone
now.
can
Right.
do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Right. Exactly
and that's the
so.
way it
Exactly
should be.
so.
So no one should be looking down or looking and saying and saying you shouldn't be doing it that way, which I've had people say. They
Yes.
Mhm.
come to our rituals and they go, "That's not the way it's done with either Gardnerian or whatever," and it should be done. I said, "No, that's with your type of tradition. Ours is not."
Right.
It's a very simple thing. Respect.
Mhm.
If I came to your
Exactly.
ritual, then I will follow along with how you do it. I'm not going to say anything because it's not my
Mhm.
ritual.
Right.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. But having anyone say,
So
and people have said it, we've had people say it to us, you're doing it the wrong way. And I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me right now? Yeah. Such is life.
yeah.
Anyways, go ahead,
So
sweetie.
thank you. Stephanie, tell us about how your practice, your everyday, like in your everyday life, fit into that
So
in your
right.
everyday life, in your everyday world.
So I think, it used to be more like I would like relegate my practice to like when I had time, like being working on the weekend when I had time or in the evenings.
Right.
And now I found that I tend to draw in various aspects of my practice during my day um,
Mhm.
more regularly, just kind of like I just draw it in whether I have time for it or not. Like in the morning, I'll sit up, I'll do some meditation, I'll light a candle. I usually do that every single day. And then I'll go about
Right.
my day. I'll stop and do some meditation in the middle of the day. Um, I'll sometimes set my intention first thing in the morning. I might pull a tarot card once a day just to see what the day is going to bring. Um, and I'll wear specific jewelry or stones depending on what I need for the day. When I get home at night, I will light another candle and take a few minutes to just kind of center and ground myself and kind of like get rid of like any of the stress or negative energy from the day. And I often find myself like if I need strength, I'll do an invocation to a particular demon that helps me feel that
Mhm.
strength within myself. So it's almost like I'm invoking them externally to draw the internal part of myself, draw that internal part of myself. So I mean, as
Yes.
far I still like if I have like a major ritual I want to do or a specific spell, I'll set aside time for that. But I often find myself um,
Mhm.
working spells throughout the day without even realizing I'm doing it. Like if I have,
Right.
a friend or a coworker who needs something, who needs like some healing or anything like that, I may pause and stop and just set some intentions, invoke a demonic force for healing, and kind of send it their way for
Mm-hmm.
them to give them some of that energy. I mean, I usually ask first to make sure they're open to
Yeah.
receive that, but just things like that,
Right.
if I'm going to do something more elaborate, it's usually like either with like a group liturgical rite, whether it's like, practicing the summer solstice or whatever, um, or a rite to a particular demonic force,
Mm-hmm.
then then that's like a totally kind of different thing. Or if I have a particular ritual, like I once did a ritual to like bless some books that I put out to see, if we could increase their sales or at least their visibility so people could see them.
Right.
And I did that before. So that was like more of a ritual that I planned, you know what I'm saying? So that's
Yes.
kind of different from the stuff that I go day to day. So it's kind of a mixture of that, but I've
Mm.
found a way to finally integrate it into my life. And that took me a few years to kind of like really juggle that and understand what it really
Right
meant to
on.
kind of integrate it, you know?
Excellent.
Mm.
So,
That's
Thank you for
awesome. That's
sharing that
awesome.
because I think some people practice speak, not that just the fact that you acknowledge that it didn't come easily. I don't want to use that word, but that it's thought into how you were going to bring it into your day at a
yeah,
certain point. Some of it was perhaps organic, but some of it was also like it took me a little while to get it in there. So
Yeah,
right.
awesome.
Well,
Thank
absolutely.
you for
I always
sharing
like
that.
tried to make it a point to like do something like at least light a candle, meditate. You know what I'm saying? Every single day, just to kind of like, and I found that
Yeah.
it's now it's like a part of my life. It's a part of my routine. And when I miss it, I feel it,
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's
So,
true. That's true. So, tell us a little bit about what's become very important to you right now.
well, I think what has become more important is being able to connect with other people
Mm.
and to help guide
Mm.
them, not force my beliefs on their throat, down their throat, but like help them find their
Yeah.
own balance and how to find their own magic within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to I find that I'm enjoying like teaching classes more as I get older
Hmm.
and just kind of helping guide people. And I find that one thing I love about being a teacher is I've been doing this for 40 some odd years. I'm 53 years old. And, I started
Yeah.
at 12 and I find that I learn something new every day. I can have the most
Amazing.
beginning student who just started out share something. And I'm just like, I haven't thought of it. In 40 years, I have not even thought this. And so I'm learning something new every day. And it's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
wonderful thing to get the perspective,
Yes.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah,
So
so
right
I
on.
think always learning and always like reconnecting and learning about my connection with the divine and the divine within myself. And I think that right now is kind of where I'm at. I mean, that connection is really important, not just
Right.
to the divine, but to the people in the community around me as well.
Yeah. That's
Right.
awesome.
Right. That's fabulous. I want to a little bit into because you're speaking about students
Yeah.
and the work with
I
that, but
thought so too.
the talk the question about your work with community, like what is community in you right now?
Well, right now,
Community.
so right. So right now I've been kind of staying away from like the wider what I call the occulture, the wider occulture, just because it's just
Mm,
there's so much that goes on in there. I
hmm.
tend to be a little more careful with who I'm surrounding myself with now, just because
Right
I
on.
I don't deal with the online drama so much anymore, and I don't want to be
Yeah.
dragged into that.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
do have
Hmm.
like local friends, local other
Yeah.
demodulators and witches that I kind
Yeah.
of get together with maybe once or twice a year. It's nothing serious. I used to be
Right
more
on.
involved in like coven life years ago. and it just got to be too much. Everybody's
Yeah.
schedules, we all got older and our
Mhm.
schedules just went crazy with, kids and family and
Yes.
work. And it made it harder
Yes.
to like actually get together more frequently. So
Excuse me.
we'll get together. Sometimes it's just for a barbecue. It's not for, or to, just hang out. It's not really to actually um, do a ritual per se. Or if we do, maybe we'll be like, you know what, let's do a scrying with Hecate tonight,
Beautiful.
and we'll
Mhm.
just kind of go from there. So it's sometimes even impromptu, but online, I've been like working closely with on my Patreon with students who actually want to learn about demonolatry and working with demons and
Yes.
working magic. And I work with them a lot. And then I also talk to people a lot through email. Like anybody who sends me a question
Mm.
in email will usually get a response. The only time they wouldn't is if it gets lost usually. So
I know. And people don't understand
Gotcha.
that sometimes you get so many emails that you're like, you sent me an email. I did not see it. And you're not lying. You literally
No.
did not see it.
No.
Because that
yeah.
happens to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And you only have like so much time, so it is kind of hard. Like it might take me a few weeks to get to people, but I will eventually get to them.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's more like a one-on-one a lot of times with people. I mean,
Right.
unless it's in more of a group setting, like with the Patreon. Like right now, I'm teaching like an introduction to demonolatry workshop.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then I basically give people lessons. We talk about, how, what they're doing and how they feel about it. And I stress like using their intuition. And it's just so nice to hear about their experiences. And that way we can all share with each other
Yes.
and, get the benefit of everybody's varied and unique experiences and
Right.
Yeah.
maybe learn something from that
Yeah.
as well. So, really that's what community is looking like right now. I mean, I love the internet because I can connect with so many more people and
Right.
you meet
Right.
so many wonderful people on
Yeah.
the
Right.
internet that
We can
you,
do what
Yeah.
we're doing right now with you.
Right.
right? Yeah, it's wonderful. You just meet
Exactly.
people that you probably would have never met like in
Exactly.
your day-to-day
Exactly.
life. And
Exactly.
when you have a similar, similar spiritual leanings, it's kind of nice to be able to talk about that, meet people and talk about what you're
Absolutely.
interested in. So I think that's what it means. It is more about connection with people
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Right
that
That's
sense.
on.
great. That's great. That's awesome. So, what would you like to see us as practitioners accomplish? What
Mhm.
whether it's demolatory or witches or whatever, just to see us. What would you like to see us accomplish?
Like individually or collectively or
I would say
The
more
collective.
maybe on both levels because you mentioned the internet before, and um, individually, the internet has become, oh dear goddess, I don't even know what to say. Highway, I don't know what highway vomit. I don't know anymore.
Right.
So, you know
you
what
know
I mean? It's kind of like what you said. I stay away from feeds. I stay away from certain things because it has become amazing out there. So
Yeah.
I, I would say on either levels or maybe on both. You choose and you kind of say, what would you like to see us accomplish? Because I'm not sure anymore.
right I think I would like to see us accomplish more acceptance for different experiences, more acceptance among each other, and more cooperation and sharing. I think
Yeah,
I
that's gonna be hard because we're
Yeah.
watching it implode among ourselves like so much right now. I never thought, historically speaking, I never thought I would see us as magicians, witches, practitioners of all different types be so, I don't even know what the word is. Base. I don't know.
well,
Mm,
I think a lot of it. I
yeah.
think okay, so I I have strong opinions about influencer culture because like sometimes
Yeah.
the voice
Mm,
that is the loudest isn't always necessarily the voice that I don't know is qualified to be the voice. You know what I'm saying? At the
yeah.
same
Yeah.
time, their experience is still valid in that sense. I think it's difficult because I feel like everyone wants to police everyone else, and I think we need to I mean, be able to share without minding everybody else's cauldron. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, what
Mhm.
did you stick in there? Oh, you can't stick, you can't stick that root in there. You need to maybe use some of this instead. And instead of framing things like that, we need to frame things like, oh, you put this root in there. Oh, and instead of that, on when I do it, I add this. It's kind of like as a conversation, as opposed
Right,
to
right.
you're not doing that right. And I think that's what I worry about. I also worry a lot about uh spiritual bypassing, and I think that's something
Hmm.
maybe we need to
Can you
address.
speak
But
more
at the
on
same
that? What
time,
does
I
that
think
what
you have to learn. You go through that and you learn anyway if you're paying attention to yourself and you're being introspective.
I don't
could
know
I
if
ask,
I don't know if
can you
people are doing any of that.
spiritual bypassing, what that spiritual what does that mean?
So spiritual bypassing, to my understanding of it, is basically when you just say, oh well, this thing happened, well, it's um it's my punishment, or my dog died, it's a lesson, where you're just kind of like,
Mm,
you're using it to kind of like not feel your emotions and not actually deal with situations.
got it.
So you're just
Yes.
like, oh well, the gods wanted me to have
Right.
this horrible
Oh
experience,
gosh,
and
it
well,
sounds so
they're
Christian. It sounds so Christian, like,
like you're
I
being
have
punished, and it's like, well, no, and yeah, you
yeah.
can look at things as life lessons, because let's face it, everything we go through in
is a
life
lesson,
is
yeah.
a lesson.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of whether or not you just tell people, well, the gods probably did that to you because you didn't use orris root in this recipe. It's a, you know
Right.
Yes.
instead of like
Right.
actually addressing what the person actually went through, and actually addressing the emotions that that person is feeling.
Right,
And
right.
so I see a lot of that, and I'm just kind of like, oh, that's probably, but I don't say anything anymore. I used to like
Yeah,
be quick
yeah.
to jump
If
in
you
and like
do,
say,
you
well,
feel like you're going to be attacked.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that doesn't it doesn't solve a problem, and it doesn't
Yeah,
really
it
serve
doesn't.
anything unless I know
No.
that person,
No.
personally, and we trust each other to some degree, and they would want me to like actually say something to them. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know that I would
Right.
think that way these days anymore anyway. I might have, like 20 years ago, I might have been like
Right.
more quick to judge or to say things. So I do worry that people are like not really confronting what they need to confront, especially when it comes to things like grief. Like people will want to
Mhm.
work with the death demonic, for example, and
Mhm.
they'll
Mhm.
want to just do a ritual to make their grief go away, and it's like, no, sometimes the only
You
way
have
out
to
of that
deal
is
with it
through
though.
it.
You have to go through grief.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
really just
I don't understand that logic. Like,
mhm,
in a way, it feels like a lot of times we're dealing with, I think in some ways it feels like everybody's a little bit narcissistic.
mhm. Yes.
And I would hate to think that I am that because it is
Well,
so,
everybody, it's a journey.
Mhm,
It's a
uh,
journey, and pain is uncomfortable.
yeah,
Truly,
mhm.
exactly. It is.
not
But you have to deal
a
with it.
thing of comfort.
You have to
Yeah.
deal
But
with it.
and people have there, and some people
Yeah.
are not there. They don't. That part of their journey is to get to that place of saying, "Oh, this is something okay."
Yeah.
Mhm,
Telling them, and like you said, Stephanie's telling maybe you ought to go, just embrace it. They're not ready for that. They're not ready, and part of their lesson, their part of their work is to come. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
so
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
absolutely.
tough. It's a tough thing. But thank you for explaining it. Now I have a better understanding. Thank you. Um, let
Yeah.
me let me ask this question. We've had really good conversation here, and there's lots more
Yeah,
that I
I
want to
know,
talk about
right?
with that. tell us about, and you mentioned you have your Patreon and you have your students and your classes there. Do you have any particular projects that are coming up, or things that you're thinking about doing beyond that work there with Patreon and the students?
I don't have any more community projects. I've always been a writer. Like
Hmm.
I was a writer before I was really in a writer and a reader before I was really into witchcraft and demonolatry.
Hmm.
And so I became a writer, or I became a writer of demonolatry books, I should say, because
Right,
both of those interests just happen to overlap. And
Okay.
I was encouraged by people to like, oh, you know what, you really should write this down. Originally, the first book I actually wrote was for a group I was in. They were like, we could use like an introduction to demonolatry type text for our students. And since
Wow.
you're a writer, would you mind writing it? And so, yeah, that's where my first book that turned into the complete book of demonolatry actually came from.
yeah, I have that book. It's
Wow.
pretty good.
Yeah, and of course I wrote that many. It was like I think many parts of that book were written between 1999 and 2005, before the internet was like
Wow.
really.
Yeah.
But I think I'm kind of moving back toward like the writing. I'm exploring like really weird topics that I haven't seen anybody
Mm.
else address. Like recently I wrote like The Alchemy of Goetia, where I'm looking at the
Hmm.
Goetia as a book of recipes for alchemists. They're like alchemical
Mm.
That's pretty much
recipes.
what it is, but people don't see it as that. Yeah.
Right. And it's so weird because like in ceremonial magic, a lot of people, not all of them, but many people will like separate that as its own thing and not look at it as this is an alchemical recipe. And
Mm.
what I found interesting is for years I've been looking at them and going, those sigils look like alchemical symbols,
Right, right.
like a collection of
Hmm.
alchemical
Hmm.
symbols. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
actually went to like an alchemy dictionary from that time period of the
Wow. Hmm.
same time when those grimoires were written, and I started finding parallels. And so I started like making notes,
Wow.
and I turned that into a
Yeah.
book. And my more recent project that is coming up, and I just sent it to my editor, so I'm kind of afraid that my math is bad. I decided to take that and do numerology with the Goetia.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, like
That,
try
you
Wow.
to
know,
do.
it's a
That's
funny
gonna.
thing that you mentioned the alchemy of all of that, because it kind of made me kind of, as you said it, I thought of Discovery of Witches, because that's what she, when she went
Mm.
back to the 15th century, pretty much she was seeing that as
Hmm.
an the alchemy and the grimoires and all the different things in the sigils. And as you
Hmm.
said it, I was like, wow, you're connecting it like if it were watching Discovery of Witches.
Oh, I read the
Dang.
first book in that series. I haven't seen the show.
If
Yeah.
you go back and watch
Oh.
it, it's free. It's on Netflix, or now it's on both Prime as well as Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting. When she went back into the 15th century, that's where you saw all the parts of the alchemy and everything else. So,
Oh,
and what
that's
you
interesting.
said was almost like a replicant of that, some of that. So it was kind of
Right.
cool. Yeah.
That is
Hmm.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm finding the numerology is interesting too. So, and of course, I'm okay with math, but that was like a lot of math because I did all 72
Yes.
demons. And
Oh
so, and
my goodness.
I did them both with basic, Pythagorean uh,
Numerology.
numerology, as well as
Hmm.
the Kabbalistic
Like,
Wow.
numerology.
Okay.
So that took me about
wow.
a year to complete.
Right. Right.
And yeah, so that's in editing now, but that comes out early next year. And then I'm also working on putting together basically sometimes when I teach a class, I'll like keep all of my lessons and
Hmm.
I'll turn those into a book. And I did the same thing with my
Yes. Yeah.
intuitive tarot for spirit communication,
Beautiful.
because being a natural medium, and that's like a whole different journey. That was like a whole different journey for me, because there was a period of time there where I tried to shut it out, and you can't. I mean, you can
Yes.
do it. It's just that it's probably not a good thing because it comes back with a vengeance. Um,
Hmm.
so that I had some issues adjusting there. Uh, as I got older, because it just kind of got a little stronger as I got older. And I would find that I would get like, a barrage with like all of these feelings and thoughts and visions in my mind's eye that I had a hard time when I was younger, kind of what would you call it? Like deciphering it, putting it all into a sentence, turning that into coherent messages.
Yeah.
So I had
Yeah.
to learn how to do that too. And so I found that tarot helps me. So I thought I would share that with, my Patreon members, and that kind of turned into a book. So I'm working on that now. I'm working on revising that now
Right.
to
Right.
put it into
Fabulous.
book form, to
That
kind of
is
teach people how
fabulous.
to like not only use their tarot intuitively, but to be able to use it to communicate with the spirit world.
Right.
Yes.
So
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. That's
That
awesome.
tarot's
Thank
my
you so
jam.
much.
That's
Yeah, I know, right?
that's
It's so
my space.
fascinating.
So I'm excited to see. I'm
Okay.
excited
So
to hear
what
when that
events?
comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What events are you going to be finishing up with? Well, there's not much time to the year, right? So maybe into
Right.
the new year. Because
So
what are we in? We're in the middle of November.
mhm.
So there's really not much going on the rest of the year unless you do have something to share with everyone about for the rest of this year and into next year.
Right now, I don't have anything scheduled. I've been kind of keeping it a little thin. My parents are getting older, and I'm kind of the caretaker, so I go in and check on them
That's
and
hard,
everything.
yeah.
And so that's kind of one of those things where I've been keeping my schedule light, just because I've had to like cancel things and leave at the last minute to go take care of them, because both of them have
It's
medical
hard.
conditions
It
right
is
now.
hard
So
as you have elderly parents. It's a very hard thing. Because
yeah,
basically they took care of you at one time, now it's your turn kind of a thing.
yes,
And
Yes.
it can get difficult. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? Keep in mind, maybe for us, if you can come to New York, we would love to have you in July for our Witches Fest that we do, because I think people would be in New York would be very happy to have you do it. We have I don't know if you ever heard of Witches Fest. We do
That
it once
sounds
a year in
familiar.
July. Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have to
It's
check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Um,
It's
it's on my profile. It's the very first thing on top. I kind of pinned it there. Because what we try to do with Witches Fest, same as we like to do with the show,
Mhm.
is the whole idea of our show is to expose people to the varied types of magics that are practiced. Like no
Yes.
one witch is alike, even among even their own traditions. No one
Yes.
witch is alike.
Yeah.
And that make people have such varied practices. So you can't kind of put us in this one ball kind of a thing.
Pigeonhole.
And it's the same thing we try to do with Witches Fest when we do it, and it's a live event and on a whole city block in New York City. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
something to
Yes.
think about.
Okay. Yeah.
Think about
Absolutely.
and the what 14th year coming up?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
no,
Year?
this July in
13th?
2026 is our 15th year.
15th
wow.
year. So
Our 15th year of doing it.
I'm behind 1 year.
Yeah. We've grandfathered in New York City because they do not allow any more street events or festivals anymore. So we've been grandfathered in, and we're very happy to be grandfathered in
Yes.
and be part of them, part of New York City.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Well,
if
thank you
that
for
changes, people will find out about.
all
But
this
wait a minute,
time.
you do have your Patreon that you do events
Mhm.
on or classes on as well. So
Mhm.
that's something that people should check out. So check out what should they reach out for? S Connolly at Patreon.
I think it's under it's patreon.com/OFS Adriana.
OSS Adriana.
OFS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys
OFS.
heard her say what she said. So that
Yeah.
way you can check out her Patreon for her different classes and that she offers and different thoughts and everything else with that. Okay.
We've been scrolling your website, demonology.org. There, can they get the information to your Patreon on that website?
I do not have it on there just because that's more of like that's more of a community project kind of,
Gotcha.
and I'm not the only author there. So yeah, so I think I might have, yeah, that's kind of one of those things I just kind of keep on my own personal site, which people can go to sjreisner.com. and that's REISNER. And they can find like all of my stuff, like my Patreon, all my other pen names, because I write fiction too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh,
You I
fabulous.
was like surprised when I went to your website. I was like, wait a minute, she's writing all of these different things. It's just like
So fabulous.
so that's awesome. You're like a very varied author. So that's kind of cool.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that was
So
one of my things I always wanted to do was
fun.
write. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You do a wonderful job of it. My students love your books on it. They find your perspective to be very open-minded. And my students, if one thing I have to say is they're very open-minded, very open to many things, and I'm proud of them because they're amazing students. So they find your book fascinating. Okay, your books that they're using right now
Fascinating.
fascinating.
And I just want to
That's
chime in.
excellent.
If you haven't seen the chat, we have Malcolm joining from Los Angeles, I believe, who has joined and has popped in with a lot of things. He says he loves the books, and I can't read everything. The Alchemy of Goetia is a great book. I've used sigils. So lots of feedback. So much, Stephanie, for taking the time to be with us tonight. This has been a great conversation. Go on and on.
Yeah, I love it. I love this.
There were some
We'll
other
have
things
to
I was
bring her
like,
back
oh man, I
another
was
time
really
just to,
curious.
because it's been wonderful.
I mean, so thank you so much again. And for everyone else, here's a little bit shows that you can watch on playback here on Magical Witchy World TV.
All right, everyone. So we have not
Woohoo!
done any astrology for November, so we're going to try to cover as much as we can tonight, which is why we have a few more than our normal time um, uh, in
Yep.
terms of signs and everything. So the basic overview for November 2025 astrology is that Jupiter begins its annual retrograde period on the 11th, which just passed. And during that transit, which lasts until March 10th, 2026, you have an opportunity to reflect on what home, family, and security means to you. What matters? Do you feel safe? Are you receiving enough support from your loved ones? Are you receiving enough from um, your status at home, food, supplies, all the things that you need? Do you yearn for a new home or a family? Use this period to ponder these questions. And next year, you can build and expand your foundation and secure your fortress. Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio on the 18th, which could bring secrets out into the open. And we are seeing some of that coming out already in real life.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Coming forward that people were trying to hide and is still coming out. Mercury retrogrades
Mhm.
back. Some could be shocking, and we are already seeing some of that. If you do not want your private business to be
Yep.
public, it's best to zip your lip. Okay. Mercury remains in Scorpio until December 11th. And the new moon in Scorpio arrives on the 20th at 1:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this lunar delight is your permission slip to connect deeply with others. If you want to experience a profound connection, make your move today, on that day. It's also an excellent day to review your budget. Living beyond your means is not acceptable. Are your taxes in order? Do you have a savings plan? Are you living beyond your means? You can reboot the entire thing. Intuition is heightened throughout the day. Trust your instincts, they will not betray you. Get fired up when the sun enters Sagittarius on the 21st, and you've got your you've got 4 solid weeks to book trips, take classes, and expand your outlook. This sign favors big visions and adventures. Why settle for routines when you can roll? The sun moves into Capricorn on December 21st, and Saturn stations direct on the 27th. You've had a few months to review your goals and boundaries. Now you're ready to move forward with a refined plan and a stronger sense of self. And you can strengthen your foundation with your no, setting boundaries, okay? And no is a complete sentence. So someone asks you something that you really feel uncomfortable with. No, there's nothing else. Don't explain. No,
No.
it's a boundary and it's a complete sentence. Big news.
Mm-hmm.
Direct on the 29th. Give it a few days and you'll see improvements in transportation and communication. You're free to sign contracts, update your technology, travel, or buy a new car. Romance needs space and passion. When Venus marches into Sagittarius on the 30th, freewheeling Sagittarius doesn't like to be pinned down, just letting you know. Instead,
Mm.
adventure calls. Try new things with your partner. Book a romantic getaway. If you're single, you're better off ditching the apps and connecting with a few new folks at gatherings, physical activities, or on a trip. Because Venus rules spending. This is the
Mm.
best time to spend dough on long distance journeys, luggage, classes, and sporting gear. Venus remains here until December 24th.
Right on. So let's jump into those zodiac signs. We'll start with Aries, of course. So Aries, your horoscope. The hard when your ruling planet Mars enters Sagittarius on the 4th. This past a couple weeks, a week or so ago. Adventure awaits, which had you plotting your travel plans from the 4th going forward. We had on the 5th brought in financial clarity. However, to plan for delays for the weeks of the 9th through the 29th in that area when Mercury in that Mercury retrograde phase. Snafus, but a well-planned trip with plenty of time between flights will keep as you move toward your destination. If you're concerned about your budget, you'll needs to be done to create security. Economic growth Venus saunters into the joint resources section of your chart, and that was on this transit usually brings more income, possibly through a partner. However, Mercury's step back into Scorpio that we had on the 9th could reveal those tax problems Star was speaking about earlier. Pay attention. It's wise advisor if you wish to stay out of any trouble. Now, your temper in check on the 12th. That's a good question. Mars, which could have caused you to lose a little bit of that. The 20th is the new moon, and it's the best day to schedule. You'll be able to make smart fiscal moves and uncover tax loopholes. You need to speak to that financial advisor. The 20th is a good date. As the month comes to Venus cozy up in your travel zone, an invitation for romantic, maybe a honeymoon, a cruise for two, or something like that, whatever. It's a great trip. Great trip, so bon voyage.
Okay. Taurus, you have a knack for making money, and this month promises to drive more income your way once Mars zips into the joint resources section of your chart on the 4th, which went by. Let your ambition run wild, and you could fatten up your bank account this entire month. The full moon on the 5th was your best day to declutter your wardrobe and can run throughout the month. And cleaning out your closet on the 5th, especially, but try to do it the rest of this month. If that style no longer works, ditch it. Relationships got steamy when your ruling planet Venus moved into Scorpio on the 6th. Okay, the urge to merge remains strong throughout the rest of the month, so make time for bonding activities with your sweetheart. If you haven't got one, find one temporarily. Do what you must. Mercury
Right.
retrograde on the 9th, which caused a few financial hiccups, which had you keeping a close eye on your budget at that time. And the new moon coming up on the 20th is lovely for a date night. If you're single, this would also be an excellent day to update your dating profile and do that swipe right or swipe left or whatever they call it. Okay. Prepare for a fiscal upgrade when the sun switches signs on the 21st. You'll have 4 weeks to trim your budget, add to your savings, and find solid investments. Once Mercury stations direct on the 29th and Venus enters Sagittarius a day later, you'll begin to see opportunities to grow your revenue further. A Venus Neptune trine on the 30th is lovely for a fashion upgrade. So splurge a bit on a few new pieces and you'll be ready to shine at every holiday event. Now,
Right
when I say new pieces, you can always
on.
go to a vintage store. because you and I know a few vintage pieces are pretty new for us. Okay.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's head to Gemini. All right, Gemini, your work life will consume much of the sun's presence in the workplace section of your chart means the pressure form is intensified, leaving little slack. Let's look back. Check Mars moved into your relationship zone on the 4th. Did you check it? Well, it adds passion. It can quickly morph into argument. The case for you, Gemini. The full moon on the 5th was a for yourself, and hopefully you were able to do that. Be sure to schedule time for solo harmony on the job was made possible when Venus changed signs on the 6th, so that area is intense. Expect smoother sailing now that that shift has happened. Your ruling planet Mercury stationed retrograde on the standings with loved ones, and I hope you were able to check your words. Hopefully nothing explosive came out. The advice was to think before you speak and turn on your listening ears if you want to keep the peace. But sometimes when Mercury backslides into Scorpio on the 18th, so that's coming up. To maintain a friendly environment, if practice considerate communication, a promotion or maybe even a new job opportunity is likely on the 20th so maybe apply for that new position or start a new business or even expand on a section to your business on the 20th. Making a change in employment, please send your resume in now. Get online. Starts to ease when the sun steps into idealistic Sagittarius. But the real change happens at the stations direct on the 29th, and Venus floats into your relationship sector on the 30th. It'll be easier to kiss and make up just in time for the holiday.
All right. And Cancer. Cancer, leadership duties fell on your shoulders when Mars marched into fiery Sagittarius on the 4th, your cardinal sign, so you can had no problem taking charge. Even so, the sun in your true love zone meant you'd rather have spent time on romantic endeavors.
Mm.
Made possible when you set boundaries with your job or business. And during the full moon on the 5th, that was the best time for you to socialize with events or even a date night. A change in your circle of friends was great that day as well. And Venus then cozied up to the sun on the 6th, which created the most ideal conditions for amorous adventures. When Mercury retrograded on the 9th, it threatened your mood, though, okay? Which caused drama at your work or business and even interfered with your personal life, which had you putting your foot down and being firm, forming boundaries. There will be communication misfires with your honey and or partner, adding unwanted negativity when Mercury moonwalks into Scorpio on the 18th. Talk about a vibe killer, right? Begin a new creative projects on the 20th, which is on that new moon. Make time for a quiet night to sort things out when that new moon shows up, okay? On the 20th. No matter what happens, you can turn it around on this day. If you want to conceive a child or start a new project, a creative project, this new moon is your official green light to go ahead and do what you got to do. Okay. You're able to step into your power at the office or business when the sun joins Mars on the 21st. Mercury goes direct on the 29th, helping you to find the right words to negotiate in love and work. Venus in Sagittarius on the 30th will create a harmonious atmosphere on the job or business. After weeks of aggravation, all's well that ends well. All right.
Right. Excellent. Now for you Leos, your household remained a high of activity due to the sun's tour through your domestic sector. Gathering festivities keep the home fires burning bright. And there was plenty of younger members of the family when Mars entered Sagittarius on the 4th. Of this time of year, and your nest promises to be the fun one as the weeks roll on. On the 5th, a work project came to an end. That was during that full moon, freeing you up to focus on family matters. On the 6th, then, Venus slid next to the sun, casting harmonious vibe over your loved ones and partners, even though this was a possibility. On the ninth, you were able to still pick your battles wisely. Look for ways to compromise as we move forward so you can avoid any foolish squabbles. Two fabulous aspects of the sun will arrive on the 17th, and that will make this an ideal day to entertain. Host a gathering at home, perhaps, or maybe a dinner date with your loved ones, the bonds together. Mercury will move into your fourth 18th, potentially causing disruptions in your daily life. Will require a little bit more effort. Then you have the new moon on the perfect time for a sit down dinner with your friends and family. An early Friendsgiving celebration could start the holidays off to a really fabulous and merry note. Synergy with your romantic partner eases when the sun changes first, and Mercury goes direct on the 29th, so that will help tremendously. Misunderstandings can be resolved at that point. Romance heats ready to be flutters into passionate Sagittarius on the 30th. All those tense moments are a thing of the past, proving that love that is fabulous. Of
Yes.
course, what do we have to do? We got to pull.
All right. So Rhonda, what are we pulling our card for tonight?
To all that talk, and we are in our Mercury retrograde period. I think it's just a good
Yeah.
idea just to check in on our own. What are the stories telling ourselves right now? What are the messages you are telling? Be aware of about the messages you are telling yourself right now.
Okay. So what have you
Oh
got, girl?
Lordy, let me get my.
I know
Oh my
I had to put my
God.
glasses down.
Yes, I'm working with the Witch's Tarot. This is the mini deck, Witch's Tarot, and I have the 8 of Pentacles. Let me find out where this
Oh, we have the
camera
same
is.
deck tonight.
8 of Pentacles. Oh, see, I
Well, I always have the
have the
Witch's Tarot, so
yes. I just reorganized entire my entire shelf unit with my front. And what do I want to say about this? One of the messages I'm telling this Mercury retrograde period. This card, every time I see the 8 of Pentacles, I don't want to just say the perfectionist, but this is somebody who is damn good at their work, but it is work. And what it reminds me of to remind myself is that, all work and no play. Rhonda, a pretty boring person. It kind of, it adds to the stress and the tension. So I have to remind myself about the messaging of value of work, the importance of work, and put it in balance. That is an important for your girl right now.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
All right. So
What did you get?
again, very close. Mine is the
Oh
Six
my
of
God.
Pentacles. Same deck,
Oh,
Six of Pentacles. And
yes.
for this one, it's interesting. I find that he's definitely putting his thoughts and monies into his home, his stability, and all of that, passing on to the wealth, to the family, generational wealth creation.
Mhm.
Um, a bit of thoughts on how to make that into generational wealth, how to
Mm.
make that be part of the family things to pass on, how to
Mhm.
make wise decisions to for the monies, because they have to really earn it. They went
Mm.
past the hump of how the hardness of it, and they at this plateau kind of a thing. And yeah, just kind of like paying attention to where they're putting that money, where they're spreading it
Yeah.
out, and to create that
Right on.
generational wealth. And I like that card. When I saw it, I was just, and it was just so curious. We always kind of get cards that are very similarly or the same vein. It's interesting.
Happens
So
quite a bit. quite
Yeah,
a
it
bit.
does, right? And we're not planning this. I tell you, we didn't even know, first of all, what
No.
decks we're using. Well, we always know what deck I'm using, but we never know what deck Rhonda is using. And we never know what's being pulled or what, because we don't know what the question is until she says it. So it's always interesting the results that we get. All right. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So next week, our guest will be Christine Stevens. And that will be on November 21st.
Yay. Right
All
on.
right. And
Right
Rhonda
on.
and I would like to thank all of you that are in the chat or on the playback and everything
Yes.
else. And tonight we want to thank our guest as well, Stephanie Connolly, known as S. Connolly in her
Yes.
books. She has amazing books. Please do check them out. You would love them. They're interesting and thoughtful and open-minded. So give it a thought. And please,
Absolutely.
and what else, Rhonda?
Yes, please do like, subscribe, and share. It is so important. We really appreciate it. And if you're watching, if you could definitely give us that thumbs up, it really does make a difference.
Yes.
It gets our video out there to a few more people if they see people are actually just giving it a thumbs up. Thank you for joining us again this week, and we'll see you next.
Next week on the 21st with Christine Stevens. Many blessings to you all.
Have a great
Oh,
week,
wait
you
a minute.
guys.
I just
Oh,
realized
what?
we're going to be there. The day that we're there is going to be one day after the new moon. So blessed new moons to you, everyone. Okay.
Yes, right on. Have a great week, everyone.